The shadow in the woods. It all started on a cool autumn evening. The sun was setting, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple. I remember the chill in the air, the kind that made you hug yourself tightly as you walked. I was alone in the woods, a path I had walked countless times before. But this time, something was different. As I walked deeper into the forest, the sounds of the outside world slowly faded away. The only thing that remained was the rustling of the leaves under my feet and the occasional chirp of a cricket. The woods were usually a comforting place for me, a sanctuary from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. But tonight, they seemed eerily silent, as if they were holding their breath. I looked around, trying to shake off the feeling of unease that was creeping up on me. The trees seemed taller than usual, their branches reaching out like clawed hands. The shadows cast by the setting sun were long and dark, moving and shifting with every gust of wind. Suddenly, I heard a branch snap behind me. I spun around, my heart pounding in my chest. There was nothing there, just the trees and the shadows. I told myself it was just a deer or a rabbit, but the feeling of being watched remained. I quickened my pace, my footsteps echoing through the empty woods. The path ahead seemed darker than usual, as if it were being swallowed up by the night. I could feel the hair on the back of my neck standing up, and every nerve in my body was screaming at me to turn back. But I kept going, driven by a mix of curiosity and stubbornness. I had to know what was out there, what was causing this feeling of dread. As I rounded a bend in the path, I saw it, a dark figure, standing in the middle of the trail. It was tall and thin, with long arms that hung limply at its sides. Its head was bowed, and its hair hung in matted clumps around its face. I stopped dead in my tracks, my breath caught in my throat. The figure didn't move, didn't make a sound. It just stood there, blocking my way. I didn't know what to do. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Was it a person, an animal, or something else entirely? I took a tentative step forward, and the figure raised its head. Its face was a mass of shadows, with two glowing eyes that seemed to stare right through me. I felt a chill run through my body, and my legs turned to jelly. I turned and ran, not caring where I was going or what might be waiting for me in the dark. Branches slapped at my face and hands, but I didn't stop. I could hear the sound of something pursuing me, heavy footsteps that seemed to gain on me with every stride. I stumbled and fell, scraping my hands on the rough ground. I looked up, and the figure was standing over me, its face still hidden in shadows. I screamed, a primal cry of fear and desperation, and then it was gone. One moment it was standing there, and the next it had vanished into the night. I lay there for a moment, catching my breath and trying to process what had happened. I eventually got to my feet and made my way back to the trail. I walked quickly, not daring to look back. The woods seemed different now, more menacing and unforgiving. I could feel the eyes of the forest watching me, waiting for me to make a mistake. When I finally emerged from the trees, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. I was safe, at least for now, but I knew that whatever had been in the woods with me that night, it was still there, waiting for another unsuspecting traveler to stumble upon its domain. In the days that followed, I tried to piece together what had happened. I searched the internet for stories of similar encounters, but found nothing. It was as if my experience had been a figment of my imagination, a nightmare that had somehow bled into reality. But I knew what I had seen, and I knew that the woods would never be the same for me again. Weeks passed, and I tried to put the incident behind me. I avoided the woods, taking different routes to work and avoiding any place that might remind me of that fateful night. But then, one evening, I received a call from my friend John. He was panicked, his voice shaking as he spoke. "You have to come," he said. "It's happening again." I found John at the edge of the woods, his face pale and drawn. He pointed into the trees, and I saw it, the dark figure, standing in the shadows. This time, I was not alone. I had John with me, and together we faced the terror of the woods. We approached the figure slowly, cautiously. As we got closer, I could see that it was not human. Its skin was pale and almost translucent, and its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. We stood our ground, determined not to show fear. The creature seemed to sense this, and it backed away slowly, disappearing into the darkness of the trees. We never saw it again, but we knew that it was still there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for its next victim. The experience changed us both. We were no longer the carefree friends we had once been. We had seen something that defied explanation, something that had tested our courage and our faith in the natural world. In the end, we never found out what the creature was or where it came from, but we knew one thing for sure: the woods were not as safe as we had once believed them to be. Months passed, and life settled back into its usual routine. John and I still talked about what we had seen, trying to make sense of it all, but as time went on, the memory of that night began to fade, overshadowed by the hustle and bustle of daily life. Until one night, I received another call. This time, it was from a stranger. He said he had seen the creature too, in a different part of the woods. He was scared, desperate for answers. I knew what I had to do. I couldn't just sit back and let this thing continue to terrorize people. I had to face my fears and confront the creature once again. I gathered a group of friends, armed with flashlights and whatever weapons we could find. We ventured into the woods, determined to find the creature and put an end to its reign of terror. The night was dark and full of shadows. The woods seemed to close in on us, and every sound was amplified in the stillness. We stuck together, relying on each other for courage and support. After what seemed like hours of searching, we finally found it. The creature was standing in a clearing, its back turned to us. We crept forward, hearts pounding in our chests. As we got closer, I could see that the creature was different from what I remembered. It was taller, its skin even paler, and its eyes, they glowed with a hunger that was both terrifying and sad. We surrounded the creature, weapons raised, but before we could make a move, it turned to face us. Its eyes locked on mine, and I felt a chill run through my body. "Why are you here?" it asked, its voice soft and raspy. I didn't know how to respond. I had come here to destroy this thing, to put an end to its reign of terror. But looking into its eyes, I saw something that made me hesitate. "We're here to stop you," I said finally. "You've been scaring people, hurting them." The creature shook its head sadly. "I don't want to hurt anyone," it said. "I'm just lost." We talked for hours that night. The creature told us its story, how it had come to be in the woods, alone and afraid. It wasn't evil or malicious. It was just a being that had been misunderstood and feared. In the end, we didn't destroy the creature. Instead, we helped it find a way out of the woods, a way to coexist with the world outside. It was a risky decision, but one that I believe was worth it. The creature is gone now, and the woods are once again a place of peace and tranquility.